The fireworks are basically gathered on the gold pieces of the firework. The first is that the government is not going to take the initiative. The first time the 4-year-old had a 3-1 lead, he was knocked out in the first round. The reason for this is that the traffic is so large and untied. On the other hand, there are many reasons why they are strong. The first is the disease. It looks like war crimes too, but no matter what, the team has always been at odds. After the wheel came out, the first is that the government has not yet made any changes to the current situation. So what is the main reason why the Red Mountain Army is recorded as having done a major shift? The next phase of the renovation is coming. How could they adjust their lineup? Can the green flowers decay? Today, let's take a preliminary pre-war look at the operation of the Sadie Dick revival. The first round of the series was reversed. The Law and Order has created many embarrassing records. For example, this is the team of the Salesians. The first time the series was reversed after a 3-1 lead. Previous 32 3-1 series lead. They all got it right. The first time the country has been in a state of emergency. The first time it has been in a state of emergency. The team that fell behind 1-3. The 8th miracle of the Dark Ages. The team that won the 2nd seed is the No. 7 seed. This is also the case with NB. Lawson sold for the first time in his career. The first time they won the war. The rest of the country. The main team is strengthening in front of the rich and elderly. The last 5 minutes of the campaign were 12 times 1. The government has also been trying to reduce the amount of oil in the country. The tree of the Rosh Hashanah is a very ugly bowl, but we are still waiting to see the series. The first is that the government has not been able to keep up with the demands of the people. The number of people who have been killed in the conflict is about to increase. The war was deadly for his Twitter followers due to injuries. Don't let them be your big family. The game is a bit of a mess. The 2 deadliest points should be 3 points and stroke. The correct answer is. The first is. The attackers are the only ones who can do this. The first is that the project is not a good idea. The second is. The first time the group had a stroke, it was because of the lack of access to the internet. Before the race starts. The original plan was to rebuild. They don't even think about it. I'm not going to let you get away with this. The first match will be played in the 2nd Division of East. I didn't think of coming back, of course. So they didn't even play for the postseason. The report also highlights the importance of the new policy. The first time I saw the video was in the back of the car. The number of law enforcement officers seems to be changing. The first is to get a good grip on the race. I'm just a few people talking, and their strokes are on the rise. The only thing that is really important is the security of the city. The which was eliminated for cattle. Of course, they are. The talent of the Penguins also plays a role in the game. The door is still the same as before. That's 3 points. The first stage of the race. The first round of the tournament was held in the city of San Francisco. The number is 44.0. The United States is the 2nd largest economy in the world after the yellow win. More than 46% of them have fought in the sport. The 3-way line is off. The most obvious result of this hit was that the man was killed in a car accident. This is the highest level of online participation in the team. The first is to get a good look at the game. The first is that the user can use the screen to create a new image. The first is that the government is not going to be able to keep the people from being alone. There is no second stable upper middle ground. The moment is crucial. The first time I saw a woman in a car was in a bathroom. The first is that the government is not going to be able to do anything. This is a great example of the climate race. The Law and Order team is showing the world that it is not good. 3 games in silver. The first 2 teams in the tournament were the Red Sox, who won the first 2 games of the season. The first is the sign of terror. 876 people involved in the powerlessness of the riots. The first is the fire of the dead. They play game 2. The third shot was 26.0. The first is the 13th grade. Game 5. The death rate is 28.2. The third grade is in 11th grade. Game 6. The death rate is 29.3. The first 3 grades are in 12th grade. The game is the most important game in the series. The Army of the Rosh Hashanah has a 26.5 hit rate. The first 3 students were in 13th grade. The report also highlights the importance of the new road to safety. The following measures are in place to fill the vacancy in the top 3. I'm not sure what I'm saying. The 3 points are not their fault as the line of life. The main reason is that they didn't expect it. This is a garbage line. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to play in the finals. I'm just playing a few games. The problem is that the government is too dependent on the third. The blue is also exposed to the red. In this regard, even though she was not there due to injury, The team was disappointed with the 7th floor. The newly formed group of people is also hard to identify with the current lineup. It's too far. The second reason for the reversal is that the government has not yet approved the change. The weather. NB's hand-to-hand fight is very bad. Attackers are on the outside of the line. The defense was again dismantled by the enemy using a hammer. He even disrupted the pace of the attack on some. This once left the 7th floor in a state of impunity. I was also watching a video back then. The team is not happy with the way he talks about it. But the next 3 games, NB's change is very smart. He has cut back on his outdoor activities, more and less to take on opponents. The game is also played in the Tiger Woods. Maxi is back. The most comfortable end point. The deaths of the military and the transition rate of direct hits. The first is that the country is not a country. The first is that the NNB is not a good defense. The M3 has even been shown to be a lot of things. The first is to avoid the need for a new network of networks to connect to the network. The report also highlights the importance of the new rules for the healthcare sector. This effort is clearly a failure. NB's robbery took 34 minutes, 12 seconds and 6 seconds. The last 3 games of the series were 28.6 points. The first is the firewall. The newly formed group of 421 unarmed combatants has been disrupted by the violence. So here we are. I also apologized to him before. We have also spoken in the community in the past few days. I'm not sure what happened. The NBA's elves are in the final. The government has banned the use of FAT in Dubai. This is the 9th time that the NNB has won the match. But as the video begins, the third and the second causes of stroke. The first is that the war crimes are not war crimes. The team was reversed after a 3-1 lead. The bank is a financial institution that provides financial services to its customers. The first is that the government is not going to be able to keep up with the demand. They are the underdogs. The book also lost the memory of the lineup. The most ridiculous thing is that the first is that the car is not the main reason for the lack of cars. It's not about their lineup. The last few days, he continues to broadcast live on the circuit. The report also highlights the importance of the new rules for the use of the internet. For example, he believes that the financial crisis is the cause. The main reasons for the balls. The bank is a financial institution. He was accused of committing a crime. George Bronson is the pusher, but the financials are not so good. He even pulled out the SGA, saying, "I'm pushing for offense attacks." The SGA is based on this. The second MVP is coming. The response from others is interesting. Smith responded by saying, "The first time was in the last 3 days. Why don't you say that?" Perkins also said, "Don't talk too much nonsense. 40 years old. You are in boss's section. This one win has 3 losses." The lawyer is even more knowledgeable. "I don't like to play ball and blame people. It's like finding a way to get to the airport." Of course, they are. The hotel is located in the heart of the city. The report also highlights the importance of the new policy. But in general, the fans who think Bruns is not saying more. He is a great actor, and he is a great actor. The whole world is watching. This is about the issue. I don't want to argue too much. We are focused on the following. SID's cargo plane could be dealt with and made decisions. The first question to be discussed is, do they break up the flowers? In the vast majority of cases, the answer is no. At least in this competitive environment in the East, the winds of the 2 flowered winds are rough. I'm still full of imagination. Title is just coming out of a serious injury. The aircraft is only 78% of the power of the electric winds. Keeping healthy, they are the only ones who have the chance to reach the division finals. The final is also a good one, and they are both 29 years old. A 28-year-old man. This is the most electrifying age for a blue ball player. I'm not sure what to do. How to make them tough. The first is that the country is not a country. But there are also few exceptions. The number of people who have been displaced by the violence has increased. A few people who are not getting much repair come to the market. A fat man. He said, "I'm not a doctor." The desire to remain monogamous. But trying is not always. If the government can close the deal as soon as possible, the government has been trying to get the government to stop the violence. The price of the product is $25 per person. No matter who they leave behind. The first is that they are not fat. The company is also known for its high-quality products. The first is that the 2 countries have a common interest in the development of the internet. And the extreme is equal. The first is that the country is not a single country, but it is a country that is a country that is a country that is a country that is a part of the world. The combination of TEDM and fattening may be more powerful. Theoretical limits for the final few races are higher. The other is SGA. The first is that the government is not going to be able to do anything. The current postseason and the current wind MVP. The most extreme forces are there. The enemy cannot resist this temptation. But we also know the probability of a thunderstorm trading SGA is 0. The president should not have a general manager anymore. The team will trade politics as a senior. The first is the core. At least Presti won't. So what is most likely to happen? The deal is about his own brother. Dr. Dunn is currently working on a new book. What it means to be a mother. The city has been a source of controversy. If they joined their brother in fighting the war, the team will be a very interesting outdoor team. The first is that the candidate can be considered as an offer with Browning plus voting rights. I can't rule out the possibility that the Law and Order might have taken my brother. The two of them are titles and their own brothers. The windmill players of the Chamber of Industry are accompanying. The projected work frame. The basic score is extremely high. I'm not sure what I'm doing. The team will be very close to the championship. In conclusion, the two-word puzzle cannot be broken. The first is the demolition of the building. The trade needs to be profitable. The team is not the only team in the world to have a great success. The cost of this is, the first is that the country is not a democracy. Instead of considering removing the doubleheader, the most realistic reinforcement scheme is the group shortcut to the post. I'm going to go to the hospital. This is the next topic we're going to talk about. The current circuit lineup. The shortcut to the stroke is too big, so they still need to find one. The first is the fighting man, a young boy with projection skills. The deal was for the gasoline from this big guy. The event is likely to be held in the memorial's closing days. The first time I saw my mother, I was in the army. Road to rebuilding. Sergei Karakin. Can you ask me the price of the car right now? The first is that the engine is not a very good engine. But more than that, it's a matter of opinion. Road less crowded. So it's also going blue. If you go to a rival team, we can still see it. The car will be able to recover the body of the 25-year-old finalist. I'm not sure. Nick is one of his mother's former housemates. If they really made a deal with their own brother. The first is that the internet is not a place to be. The transaction is being held in the same location as the transaction. The government has also announced that it will be closing its doors to the country. The government has already signed a three-party deal. The two sides agreed to a deal. The two-page report is also available on Twitter. Of course, it is also possible to get used to it. This is the top of the list. If you can't get into these alliances, the most famous five-stroke, the government has also been trying to get rid of the military in the past, and the government has been trying to get rid of the military in the past. The first is the Jillen's man for cattle. Natural gas generators have delivered nearly 10 outputs of 7. The number of people killed in the attack was 37.3%. The first is the G. This is a very beautiful puzzle. The first time I saw the video was in the back of the house. The first is that of the deal expires on the day. It was one of the main targets of Mars' hiding place. The first time the elections were held in the country was in January. The deal was successful. If city can take it, I'll look at it again. The future of the city of Boston. I'm not sure what happened. Lawmakers removed the army after a missing oil group. The back of the projection capability. If you can protect yourself a little, it's better than that. I'm glad you're getting along. The pressures on the country have been huge. The team is not going to be able to get the ball to the ball. The Jellens of the bear. The first is that the government is not going to be able to do anything. The first is that of that. They also have a special case of 27.7 million transactions. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to do this. The quality puzzle in the free market. What's on the line? Trying to improve machine mobility and defense. The last one to be bored. This is the question of the main turnover of Mezilla. I have already mentioned. Law to remove military personnel from the country. The first is the reverse of the reverse. Emotionally, it is difficult to accept. This is why we are here. The number of calls for change of address is much higher than ever. I'm not sure what I'm saying. The first time I saw a man in the car, I was in a coma. Now after this. The first is the quartz. The team is basically a downline team. The talent is not great. The first is the battle of the sexes. The book is not easy to turn off. The lack of titles was also a factor in the sale of the pencil. The complaint is not so much about the accusations. The first time I saw the video, I was surprised to see the video. The first is the construction of the new building. I'm not sure if this is the best way to do it. The first step is to go back. The first is that the market is not a good place to buy a new product. The first is the ability to learn from the experience. The best gateway has gone to North Carolina. The first is the blogosphere. But his farmer is playing. The union is not fit for the current debate about the long-term swap of credit. I'm not going to be a fan. It is best not to change the colors easily. The Green Mountain Army is now. The first time I saw the video was in the middle of the night.